So we have a gardening channel, but we have no garden.
Yeah.
To call our own. Exactly. Awkward place to be in.
It is really interesting.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Cassidy and this is Taylor. Today we're going to talk about why anybody should try JADAM and KNF. You know, it's not just for people who have a huge farm or something. So we want to talk about that. So on the show we talk about natural farming, gardening, and life on our, hopefully, life on our micro. It's a little micro farm. Today we're going to chat about an unfortunate experience we're having right now in our life. And we're also going to chat about and unpack why KNF and JADAM would be for everyone.
Right.
Like say you have a large garden in your backyard and you live in a neighborhood. Like, why would you do JADAM and KNF if you're not a farmer?
And KNF, for those who don't know, is Korean natural farming.
Yeah, and JADAM is a Korean word that means...
It's a sort of like a Korean...
prosperous?
Multiple words that fit together, kind of like an acronym that is roughly translated, people who are like nature.
Oh, there you go. People who are like nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that today. Yeah, we just want to share some of our future plans for the farm and what we're up to. So this is a lot more of like a personal, like our tutorials are very, like we're going to teach you something or Taylor's going to teach you something. Mm-hmm. And this is a lot more of just our personal life and like who we are and who are the people. Like Taylor's on camera, but I'm behind the camera. And so, but we both do this whole KNF JADAM thing. So
yeah.
Natural farming.
And it's worth saying too that that we started this channel together, and it just kind of came to be based on how we felt I think for a variety of reasons, how the content started progressing at a certain point, that I was going to be the main one exploring and explaining a lot of the techniques, and then you are our videographer and editor. And so you've heard me talk at length about every single topic. And so you know it, like whenever, I've researched a ton of this stuff firsthand, and you're pretty much know it all because you just hear me talk about it endlessly.
Yeah. I still don't understand ratios, but here we are.
Just the math.
I still have to ask you, how much of this do I do?
Oh, I have to, I will remember for a little bit, and then like, what is 1 to 500 in a gallon of water?
Yeah.
Like a tablespoon and a half. I'll remember that for a little bit, and then I inevitably will have to Google it.
Yeah.
And or I'll look up my own.
I just like don't get it.
My own like recipe or something.
Yeah. I just know how much I put in a gallon of water. Yep. Yeah, so this is what we're going to be talking about today. But before we go any further, I wanted to introduce our sponsor. Today our sponsor is the potato, because we're talking about JADAM and KNF, and the potato is one of the main ways we got into JADAM at the beginning. So I thought it was a good sponsor for the episode.
It's a great sponsor.
And you can find potatoes at most grocery stores. So if you need any potatoes, I highly recommend trying them out. They're great.
And also interestingly, we live in Washington State.
Yeah.
We're right on the border of Idaho.
Yeah.
And Idaho is known for potatoes.
They are.
But Washington actually grows more, I think,
we do.
nationwide. And
Yep. You drive through eastern Washington and there's potato fields. Yep. Okay. So that's our sponsor for this week.
We should just keep it right here.
Yeah.
We'll just keep it.
He's helping us out there. Okay. So I wanted to start out today just like a farm life update of what's happening in the farm and the garden this week. So what is happening in the garden this week for us?
Right. So we haven't mentioned this in any video, but we're currently living at your parents' house.
Yeah.
And we're extremely blessed to be able to live here, because otherwise we would be homeless with our 3 kids.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because we own a house in the Spokane area, and we had all the best intentions of moving back into that house. We weren't living there. We were renting it to someone. And this particular individual has their lease ended in, well, November 1st, and they decided to stop paying rent and not move out,
Yeah.
which in Washington, you can't do too much about, at least very quickly. And so, you know, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to the story here. We're really trying to work with this person. And they're being very difficult to reach. They have been extremely difficult to reach. They're clearly avoiding us. And I mean, we feel for them to the extent that we can imagine that they might not have a plan for where to go, although they've known for a long time that we're going to be coming back. And so they've had plenty of time. But anyway, that being said, we are kind of waiting to get back to our home where we're going to be growing.
Yeah.
And what are we hoping that we're going to be able to do there?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've noticed in any of our videos, Taylor's generally been just in front of a fence.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
A white fence.
Because we live in this really, great neighborhood that my parents live in, but people just walk by constantly on this street. So we're kind of trying to be tucked into a corner, so it's not like this super awkward thing where people are, because like we could film in front of their, because we designed their garden. We could film in front of that, but then also like 50 people would probably walk by in the course of the video and stare at you.
And just a million cars.
And then all the trucks up there are super loud. Whatever I don't know why they're so loud, but they're so loud. Yeah. So that's why we've been in front of a fence for like maybe the last 2 months.
Or in creative
random
spaces.
Spokane area places.
Yeah. Public parks.
Yeah. We're just making do while we're waiting to move into our house that we own, that we can't live in.
Can't go there yet.
We are waiting in trepidation. Is that the word? Trepidatiously?
Yeah. I don't know.
We're
probably.
Anyway, we're hoping to turn this home and yard into a micro farm. And that's the goal. And we thought we'd get there a lot faster or a lot sooner and we'd get started on it. But, it'll happen eventually. And our goal is to start a micro farm, a flower farm. Because I think what I'd say for us is I'm the gardener and you're the scientist. So for me...
Yeah, I wouldn't even call myself a scientist. I'm more of a tinkerer, experimenter,
But of the two of us, yes, you're a pile maker. Of the two of us, I'm the gardener. So
I really like gardening too.
You do, but I have the
most
opinions about what we grow and how we grow it and stuff. And so we're going to sell wholesale, hopefully, this coming season and just learn a lot. And we're really excited. And the reason we're doing flowers is because that's just what around the same time we discovered JADAM, I discovered floret, which, most people do flower farming, discover floret at some point and get inspired, but that's what happened for me. And, I think that,
and you should say for those people who don't know what floret is.
Oh, Erin Benzakine is a flower farmer in the Skagit Valley. And she's very inspiring. Started out with blog, books. I mean, I don't know who doesn't know who Erin Benzakine is. I mean,
I don't think I would know if it wasn't for you.
Okay, well, if you're like into flower farming, I guess she's probably the most famous flower farmer.
Probably.
She sells a course. Anyway.
Yeah.
She's very influential. Very inspiring. And so I've discovered a lot more flower farmers since then who are very inspiring too, but that's how I started. And around the same time, we discovered JADAM.
Yep.
So here we are.
Filling in some of the gaps too, as I'm realizing we're nice and scattered. We kind of got the gardening bug, gardening and sort of micro farming at this property that we're trying to get back to. Yeah. This is where we originally got our dream for that.
Yeah, we lived there for 3 years during COVID. Yeah. And so that's why we got into farming, because we were stuck at home.
And we ended up moving for work, and then now we're coming back. So the soil, in a sense, to some level, is relatively prepared for us. and there's a ton of work that needs to be done to form garden beds. I think chickens have torn up the front and the backyard, but it's on, well, the whole lot is on 0.4 acres, and we probably will grow on it, 0.1 to 0.2 of it. So that's the hope,
with potential of leasing out our neighbors dead grass,
right? Yeah,
so we'll see.
We got neighbors with fields,
but they don't water, so not. So that's kind of where we're at, kind of in this holding pattern, waiting, being creative with our videos and what we're talking about. I mean, there's lots of things we're doing still.
Right.
We're still doing bokashi. We did IMO.
Yeah, we've got IMO going.
Yeah.
We're trying. I mean, I'm trying to stockpile a bit of IMO for kickstarting the farm. We've got our chickens, which no one wants to hear about.
No.
On this channel,
no.
It seems like, and whenever we come out with a chicken video,
they don't do well.
There's little interest.
No.
Even though I really like chickens, but I'm not going to talk about them.
I wonder if someone has a chicken channel that does well, and why. Anyway.
I'm sure there's
people
chicken
just aren't here for the chickens, even though we love chickens. It's fine.
Well, if you're listening to this and you love chickens, let us know. I mean, it doesn't mean that we'll maybe do more with them, but I would love to hear that. If anyone else really likes chickens.
They'll just be our pets, that.
Yeah. And we're doing different composting things, and getting our inputs ready, our Korean natural farming stuff together, and trying to showcase that as we.
I think the exciting thing is, because we moved back here, we've been living in my parents' house since September, and the exciting thing that's happened for this season is we were able to capture IMO,
right?
Like indigenous for our area, because we had IMO in our previous place, but it was far enough away, like it might work.
Oh, sure.
It's still Eastern Washington, but it's far enough away that we really wanted to get IMO here.
Right.
And so we were able to do that before the cold set in. So that was like huge. So we'll be very set up for just launching in the spring.
Yep. And IMO is another acronym that doesn't mean, in my opinion, it means indigenous microorganisms. Yeah. And that is most of what I'm talking about, it seems like, in all of our videos. I mean, it's kind of a low-key goal for the channel to kind of normalize indigenous microbes and get more people to try collecting them, because it's a really interesting, incredible process, I think. And we're super excited about it. So we got to catch indigenous microorganisms a number of times since moving back to this area, which is really nice because once you catch them, you've kind of got them for that next season, and we have a starting place to be able to re-inoculate our soil and get things going. Yeah,
which this soil has just had JMS applied to it, so JADAM microbial solution, which is primarily bacteria, not fungi, but we also have had wood chips everywhere. So whatever fungi we
in
did
the front
have
yard.
In the wood chip, in the backyard too.
And in the backyard, that's true.
So we have no lawn left. It's just wood chips. And so any fungi that was able to be established is still probably present there. I think you saw some.
Yeah.
You dug up some before everything got sketchy. We were there doing some work, and you pulled up a big clump of mycorrhizal. Is that how you say that? Mycorrhizal fungi? Yeah. So
it's cool.
Anyway, that's our future. What we're going into.
Yeah. So we have a gardening channel, but we have no garden.
Yeah.
To call our own. Exactly. Awkward place to be in.
It is really interesting.
Yeah.
It's hard to be inspired right now.
A little bit. I mean, it's also the end of the season, and
it's November.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a hard season. I envy the Southern Hemisphere, but then also they just finished their winter, so we all have to go through winter. Okay. So I thought for this episode, we could share a little bit about, share the story about. So I remember we started making JMS in 2020. No, 2021.
Yeah.
It's probably in 2021.
Probably, yeah.
We started making JMS.
JADAM Microbial Solution.
Yes. And I remember we didn't have a YouTube channel yet. We made an Instagram. And we're thinking about doing like some kind of market gardening. We made an Instagram. We called it the Cozy Quail Farm, I think.
Yep.
And
well, because we had a substantial quail family that lived on our property. Yeah.
Wild quail.
Yeah.
And so then I remember we made a reel about how to make JMS.
Yes.
You remember this? That was our first ever piece of content.
Yeah.
That we ever made. I mean, it did.
We should try. Do we have that?
Somewhere. I'll show it.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't do great. It was Instagram. I don't really understand how Instagram works, but anyway, I just remember JMS is kind of like the entry point, hence the potato as our sponsor.
Right.
Made sense to me. But yeah, I don't know if you had anything to add to that of like our beginnings with specifically, like JADAM was our entry point into natural farming.
Yeah.
Which led to KNF.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, so we were super into, we made some big dietary intervention choices to clean up our diet and feel healthier. And in the process of learning about that, we got introduced to a bunch of people talking about regenerative agriculture.
Yep.
And we came to kind of realize that our health goals were aligned with a lot of agricultural reform. And so I think that when we got into gardening in the spring, the 2020 spring, summer, I think it was Stephen Cornett from Nature's Always Right. He recommended the JADAM book. And so I put it on my Amazon wish list. And my mom bought it for me for my birthday that year. And by the time she had bought it and I opened the gift, I had forgotten that I had put it on there, and I hadn't really looked into it. I just taken Stephen Cornett's advice and put it on my wish list. And so I was like, oh, interesting. Like, I don't know what this is really, but okay, cool. Yeah. And so we...
Which for reference, the JADAM book reads nothing like any other gardening book I'd ever seen.
Yeah, it's true.
It's English, like, it's really, but like you read it and you're like, it's so technical.
And it's highly technical.
It's not like any gardening book you've ever read.
No. It's not even, I wouldn't even call it a gardening book. It's like Eastern philosophy mixed with science, and I don't know. Young Sung Cho is a chemistry major, and has a chemistry degree, and his dad pioneered this, legendary form of agriculture. His dad, Hung Kyu Cho, Master Cho, and
pioneered KNF.
Pioneered grain natural farming. Yep. And then Young Sung Cho wrote this book, and it's a rough read because it's translated from Korean and
highly technical,
very technical and repetitive, and kind of just like it just kind of ruminates and repeats itself. But then also there's like these things that I've reread it. I don't know how many times I've read it. I had to study it a little bit, and I'll reread things and be like, what? I didn't even know that was in here.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of how we were introduced to natural farming. Initially, I think that year we bought a half of a cow from a regenerative farm. Right. So it's all so wrapped up.
Yeah, it's a very cool farm. There's multiple farms near us that are really cool, but one of them is really neat. Yeah. That does rotational grazing and super hip.
So we're getting into like regenerative farming and discovering natural farming and being aware of where our food is. And it all comes back to food for us, I think. Yeah. Especially for you. It's crazy because we're a gardening channel, so like nobody knows that you're like really into cooking. And like we could do a whole channel on that.
Yeah, totally. Well, we thought that maybe it was kind of between those between gardening and cooking. Yeah. When we were first starting out, but
but KNF JADAM, they just do really well. So, okay, so my first question for you. So I was thinking a good thing to talk about in the first episode is why anyone with a garden should be interested in KNF or JADAM, and or both. Like, say I just have like a big garden and I want it to be successful. Why would I be interested in JADAM and KNF? And that, that's how we started out, which is for people with a large garden. And it was very revolutionary to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that would be a good thing to start off the discussion with. So let's just start out with you explaining what KNF and JADAM are.
Yeah, totally.
Start there really quick.
Very simply,
Yeah.
Korean, so both of them are, the way that I describe it, both of them are rejecting conventional agriculture,
Mm-hmm.
which emphasizes control and chemicals is kind of the way that I say it. The chemistry of the soil and dominating the soil by utilizing chemicals to subdue it, like pesticides and herbicides, I guess especially herbicides, and tillage. Whereas Korean natural farming, and then by extension JADAM, are really interested in the biological components of soil.
Mm-hmm.
And believe that if you can kind of get the biological conditions of the soil right, along with the biological processes of the plants that you're growing there, if you can get those fine-tuned and kind of, clicking, then you really eliminate a lot of the need for the control of conventional agriculture, the repeated tillage, the pesticides and herbicides. Your plants are just going to be growing more healthily. And there's some difference there that we could get into the difference between KNF and JADAM, but I think that's it. They're really emphasizing the biology. Mm-hmm. And so they utilize various inputs, most of which are homemade and used or made from materials that you have nearby, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Hence the potato is our sponsor, because when it's funny because we're about to hit 10,000 on our channel, which is very exciting. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, we could do sponsors now. And then we started going down the list of like what things we use to make JADAM and KNF stuff, and it's like potatoes, jars, buckets, shovels, pitchforks. It's like vodka, like
for one
vodka with spot. Like, no, that doesn't. Anyway, it's just funny because it is such a you don't buy things really, like in conventional farming. You buy
by comparison.
You buy so much, and then in the KNF and the JADAM frameworks, I mean, the things you do buy, they're so it's like a gallon of milk to make LAB,
right? Or wheat bran, oats.
Yeah, they're not.
Sometimes,
They're things that you could use in cooking. It's. I think KNF you can actually technically, in small doses, very highly diluted, eat all of the amendments.
Right. Hypothetically, all of the Korean natural farming inputs are edible.
Edible,
fully.
Yeah. So,
not saying that you should do that necessarily. No. We can't give any sort of advice medically, but they are said to be healthy to consume. And
okay, so that's great. So what was it that really like drew you to JADAM and KNF as a person with a large garden?
Totally. So for JADAM, because that's where we started, I think JADAM is a great entry point into natural farming in general. Mm-hmm. For JADAM, I was inspired by Young Sung Cho's words in his book that nature knows what it's doing. Yeah. And so let's borrow from nature. That's the crux of it. Let's just borrow the microbial qualities and the microbes from the soil and use that to make different ferments. And so, I mean, I was already well into fermentation. I read an incredible book, one of my favorite books ever, called The Art of Natural Cheese Making by David Asher. and he talks about kefir and the cultures there and how you can manipulate it to kind of bring out different substrains and make your own cheeses, all from this one culture. And so I'd kind of been conditioned to think, as in terms of cultures that you could collect and then use. And so the culture in this case is leaf mold soil, which is the soil found beneath the leaf litter of an undisturbed forest. And you ferment it which just means you're feeding the microbes in that soil, and you feed them with a potato. And so, potatoes are very affordable. Leaf mold soil is free if you can find it, and which most people can. And then you need water and sea salt. And then, it's incredible how little equipment you need. You don't even necessarily need a paint strainer, but paint strainers are super cheap. You can get them for like a 5-pack for like $5-10.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening who have never made it, I would strongly encourage you make it, because it's so simple, and you basically just need to cook your potato, mash it up, and take your leaf mold soil and combine the cooked potato and the leaf mold soil in dechlorinated water in a bucket, and then add some sea salt. Exact quantities don't really matter. You could probably add too much, for sure. But just, for a 5-gallon bucket, maybe a couple of these potatoes and a handful of leaf mold soil and a healthy pinch of salt. Yeah. And that just starts to bubble. The microbes start feeding on the carbohydrates in the potato, and they multiply and diversify a little bit. And then you water that into your garden, and you can spray it on your plants. You can put it into your chicken bedding to reduce the odors and make a healthier environment for them. You can soil drench your soil, and so why I can't remember the question exactly.
Well, it's just like
why was it so attractive to me?
Yeah, so like as a person with just a large garden,
right? Yes,
not a farm, which the JADAM book and KNF is primarily targeted towards farmers. So why did you think you wanted to implement it on just a large garden? Because you had to really dilute down these recipes. Like they were such huge amounts.
Scale them down.
Them down. There you go. Yeah. That's the word.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, on the one hand, we were growing on a home scale. We did quickly scale up to, a quarter of an acre is a lot to grow on. And even then, though, just the small amount that we were growing on, I'd say, having just begun to garden, I didn't really understand that soil, like I just talked about this kind of misunderstanding, an old misunderstanding that soil is sort of a fixed thing that you can't repair. That's what my grandma thought growing up. It was just kind of like, oh, you got bad soil. I guess you have to make do. And this, first of all, was a way to change that. It was also a very low cost way to change that. A lot of gardening channels that I'd seen just talked about buying in truckloads of compost to kickstart your garden, which is a great way to do it. But it's just costly, especially when we had no budget for this. No budget. And so it was like spend a couple $1,000s on compost or boil potatoes. Yeah. And make JMS. Yeah. So that's why I felt really like it was useful as a home gardener, because it was promising. It was like I can actually restore my soil using very little. And I think we saw pretty immediate results from that. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy too, because I think that we didn't know enough about gardening to know that organic farming or organic gardening is supposed to be really hard.
Sure.
And that's the only option. We never did any form of conventional,
like using synthetic fertilizers and using.
But we didn't know enough about it to know that it was supposed to be hard. And that first season when we were doing JADAM, it was great.
Mhm.
I mean, there was definitely like, we've had crop loss and crop
Yeah.
failure in the sense of like, oh, something just didn't grow well here. But overall, we had a very abundant season.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know that it was supposed to be
Right.
super hard, you know? And so I think that part of the reason why it worked so well for us is because we just didn't know anything.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that, like, this is a topic for another day, but there's a lot of gatekeepers in the gardening world.
Yeah.
And then just people love to tell you you're wrong.
Yeah.
And what you're doing isn't right in a way that doesn't necessarily inspire you to try be better. It just sort of slaps your hand. And we just didn't have any exposure to any of that.
Totally.
And we just tried things and it worked really well. So I think that like my encouragement is like, just don't listen to all the people with all of the like, this is the right way to do it, and just try to grow stuff, you know, and try JMS and see how it goes. But like, if someone tells you your soil is trash and you're not gonna be able to grow anything in it,
or there's only one way to fix it or something,
they might kill a dream before it's able to start, and it could have been great. So I don't know. That's my thought on that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of gardening books that I've read, I start to read them and I just come to realize quickly that they're working from some frameworks that I don't share. Just some givens, like you know, that fertilizing with chemical fertilizers is essential, and tilling. I didn't even know what tilling was. I remember, you know, we started watching YouTube videos to learn how to do this stuff. And I remember encountering people saying like, we have just stopped tilling and the results have been incredible. And thinking like, okay, now what is tilling though?
Well, it's crazy too. So I grew up, my parents gardened and they had a huge garden and we never tilled. So we didn't even own a tiller, I don't think. And my mom is an avid reader, and so I think she just discovered some permaculture ideas and organic farming ideas early on. But what we do to prevent weeds is my dad would go to like a local dairy farm and get a load of manure, and we just spread 6-inch deep of manure everywhere. And then we'd alternate. On the following year, he'd do wood chips. So we did like layers of wood chips and manure. Like a lasagna, kind of a pseudo lasagna bed. Yeah, basically just to prevent weeds. They weren't even, I don't know if they were thinking they were feeding the soil or the plants. I don't know. Yeah, it was probably too early for that. Yeah, because that wasn't really a thing. There was about microbes, and I don't think there was anything about microbes at that time, at least in the general public knowledge. Because this is the, early 2000s. And so, like, I didn't even know what tilling was either, because we never tilled. Yeah. We just layered, So it's kind of funny. Just to go back one more time, say you live in just a normal neighborhood or a suburban neighborhood. You've got like an average size yard. You're going to devote half of it to a garden because you're really excited about canning or something, or you want to try to be more self-sufficient. More so, like, have stuff in your pantry that you or just show off. Yeah. Yeah. I guess. Why would you spend any time trying to master this really unique skill? Yeah. Sure. Yeah. The unique skill of natural farming, just the whole thing. Just the whole thing. Like KNF and JADAM, they're such unique. I think if you are someone who you make yogurt, you have had kefir before, you've made kefir before, you make kombucha. Yeah, right. I think this would come really easy. Super easy. Because you kind of have those things in your head. Yeah. But then I think the other big hurdle that you have to jump over is just it's the sanitation hurdle. Oh, sure. So it's a huge thing in the gardening world that everything has to be sanitized, and bleach is just used on everything.
Right.
So on your tools, on your pots, on your trays, like between uses, like you sanitize with bleach for everything. And that just doesn't really have a space in the JADAM and KNF framework where, I mean, if you were to sanitize anything, you just use LAB.
LAB and vinegar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like if you're not used to fermenting and you're also not used to natural fermenting.
Right.
Because even in the fermenting world, there's
like beer making.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all about sanitizing everything. Yep, constantly.
And like keeping natural yeasts out. Right. But then David Asher was the person who introduced you to the idea of using natural yeast.
Right.
Yep. And like using natural yeast to make anything, really. Yeah. And so JADAM and KNF live in that world of using natural yeast, not natural yeast, but natural what's in the air.
Yeah.
And in the soil. And sanitation doesn't really have a space in that framework. And so I think that's a big hurdle.
Yeah.
So you've got the hurdle of even fermenting in general. Most people don't ferment food, they can. And then there's a second hurdle of realizing you don't have to sanitize everything.
Yeah. Right. And the idea there, it mirrors, it's so intertwined with our health journey, I think, in my mind, because at a certain point I came to realize for myself, I was struggling from severe gut issues.
Yeah.
And I was able to identify through a lot of research that one of the primary causes of that gut damage that I had sustained was because I had taken multiple antibiotics throughout my life, and recently without proper supplementation afterward with probiotics.
Yeah.
And even, this is a tricky topic because it's honestly become very politicized. And I always tell people I was into this stuff before any political strings got attached to it. Because it worked for me. And worked, for you in other ways as well. We've had not the same, but we've run parallel in certain health journeys as we've been married. And so replenishing my gut microbiome with really, really robust probiotics, it kind of opened the door to understanding the importance of not actually just sanitizing everything with an antibiotic. Of course, antibiotics are one of the best inventions of the 19th century. I don't know. I'm guessing 19th century. Probably, maybe older.
I think they're some older.
They're an incredible invention that have saved countless lives.
Yeah.
We need them. The only critique here is just the quickness to take them.
Right.
When a sickness could otherwise, to put it, I guess bluntly, you could ride it out and actually be fine. You would go through you'd have some discomfort for a while.
Yeah.
And different people have different thresholds. If someone's immune compromised, then they might need the antibiotic more than someone who's healthier. But if you can ride out your sicknesses a bit more, your body does get stronger over time, especially if you're helping to nourish it with those healthy probiotic cultures. So this is so off topic for our thing, but it is it is tied together with just this appreciation for microbes and your microbiome and your soil microbiome. So yeah, as you're saying, we've moved away with KNF. You move away from sanitizing your tools because that's kind of killing the natural biology. You want to keep bleach away from your garden at all costs. You're trying to keep those cultures doing their work so that you've got a good round of defense against pathogens that come in. Because the alternative is that if you wipe the slate clean, now good bacteria could come back, but you've got the bad bacteria, the pathogens that are just welcomed in, and then you have to sanitize again.
Yep.
And then they could just come right back. And plants' immune systems get weakened when you are spraying stuff on them, or constantly sanitizing the area, never really introducing healthy microbes. And so that's why there's maybe an appropriate obsession with sanitization.
Yeah.
Sanitation.
Yeah. Sanitization. Yeah.
But
I think I'm just thinking of like, gosh, so I go to mom's group, and some of the moms have gardens and, multiple children. And I'm like, oh, I teach with my husband, we teach organic farming or natural farming. And I feel really resistant to trying to explain any more to them because I'm like, I don't want to overwhelm them with something that's like so, just not that they're not like smart enough to get it. It's just that like there's no space, there's no framework in order for it to like slot in. And I think those are the two things I think of is like if you are someone who ferments things, like even doing sourdough, and you are aware of like maybe sanitizing everything all the time isn't necessarily like the ideal, like that, if you're someone who's constantly putting hand sanitizer on, I'm like, I don't know if natural farming's for you. I don't know. But like, I wonder if those, like, you kind of need like a step in. You can't just like cold turkey, like learn this and somehow figure it out.
Doesn't quite compute, or the reason for it doesn't necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people growing their own food is a big enough step.
Totally.
Let alone people cooking. I mean, if you want to go back to like, just cook. Like, I think that's like advice we've gotten from like people who are talking about starting doing homesteading. Is their advice typically, if you want to start a homestead, is just learn how to cook.
Right. Totally.
Like if you can't start it right away or waiting or whatever, learn how to cook.
Which is music to our ears because I cook every single meal.
Yeah.
We don't.
Well, and that's the part of the framework that we live in. Like we cook, you cook. We ferment things.
Right.
We're more aware of trying not to overly sanitize everything and allowing. Yeah. Anyway. So I think that's just what I was thinking of. Like it's kind of a later down the road thing. It feels like.
Right.
Like I don't know if you'd stumble onto KNF and JADAM and then stumble onto like cooking.
Oh.
It feels like further along on the journey.
Yeah. Okay, so.
You know what I mean?
Right. So, I agree. I think maybe. Tell me if this is what you're getting at. It's such a DIY. Realm. I mean, you can't buy. You can buy 2 of the inputs, and you have to make the rest. Yeah. Really. I mean, I guess there's places that you can buy certain things, but from Korean Natural Farming, you can buy vinegar. Yeah. Apple cider vinegar, probably from the store. Or you could buy sea salt and make your own seawater. Otherwise, I think you have to make all of them. And so if you're not used to really making, brewing up concoctions and smelling, fermenting plant debris, it's going to be really weird.
Yeah, or like thinking about making FFA or FAA, sorry.
Yeah.
I messed that one up.
Yeah.
It's like
fermented fish amino acids.
Some people have a hard time touching raw meat.
Right, totally.
Like you need to learn how to cook and be okay touching raw meat.
Yeah. Right.
Before you try and make FAA.
Right. For someone who maybe has just a compost tumbler in their backyard and they throw their food scraps there, I'm not knocking that at all. That's actually a really great thing to do, to just make your own compost passively in that way. But if that's all someone's doing, I think the notion of cooking a grain substance and putting it in a cedar box that's carefully perforated or aerated, and then covering that and finding a good spot in the forest to kind of nestle it in there and try and culture some microbes. It's pretty far-fetched. It's kind of like, don't think
Yeah.
they're going to do that. And
Yeah.
that's totally okay.
Yeah.
But
because I think if I'm
yeah.
being honest, because I'm more of a gardener,
Mhm.
if you weren't into this, I don't know if I'd be into this.
Sure. Yeah.
Not because I might be into JADAM.
Mhm.
I might learn it.
It's so
If I watched
straightforward.
videos, not read the book. If I watched videos, I would probably get
Mhm.
into it. Over time, probably I would never try and catch IMO.
Mhm.
Knowing me, I just want to like
Yeah.
grow the plant.
Right. Totally.
So I think it
Most
does.
people probably do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does take a specific kind of person that gets into this. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know what kind of person that is.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's, I think, you know, to share, I'm trying to think what this is, to show our cards a bit. A huge goal of our YouTube channel is to kind of, at least for me, it's to find these inroads for, I don't want to say the average home gardener or the normal one, just like home gardeners who don't know about Korean natural farming or anything like this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find, long term especially, I think I'm getting better, but trying to find the inroads so that I'm meeting just everyone where they're at.
Yeah.
And not just hopping in and saying, okay, you want to start a garden? What you need to do is cook your rice, build your box, put it in the forest, bring it back,
have seeds.
put in brown sugar, osmotic pressure is going to pull out the, it's like, okay. So a lot of it is like, someone can start by making some compost is, a really good step. That's that's awesome. If you can make a hot compost pile, that's like a really important thing. If you could make some
hot
JMS,
compost is like a huge barrier.
Totally.
To entry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely. But at least compost is something that people know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
You buy it from the store. Oh, you can make this yourself. No one's buying indigenous microorganisms stage 4 from the store. You can't actually. It's impossible.
Unless you're buying from a local nursery.
Well, you could buy IMO 3.
That's true.
But IMO 4.
That's true.
Is when you
it's
integrate
your soil. Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah. Okay. There's 2 questions on our YouTube channel this week that I thought were appropriate for this episode.
Nice.
Raz 2768 or Raz 2768, I don't know. Says, hi, thanks for sharing this knowledge. I just discovered IMO 1 through 5 KNF stuff, but I'm a big fan of compost tea for spraying plants to saturate polysphere and inoculate my compost pile and seedling trays. I use vermicompost and humus from nearby forests as inoculant and give them a wild variety of food and for microbes and fungi and charcoal as a sweet home. I would really like to have your opinion on how IMO are better as I use the same force MO microorganisms as starter love. Yeah.
Heck yeah. And that's a really good question. Yeah. I'll give kind of I guess maybe a standard answer. And then we'll start there. So I think I'm playing this with this potato. So
you see,
technically, I'll start by saying this: if you're making compost or vermicompost tea, vermicastings, I don't know, worm tea, that's seriously great because. Again, that's like a tricky entry point for people. That's down the road still.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the entry points that I am trying to take, actually, to introduce people to liquid IMO. It's kind of like, hey, about compost tea. But even that is pretty advanced. And so that's great. And if you're using that and it's working, then sweet. Like, don't sweat it, I would say, unless you are really, really interested in trying it. And and so there's that. So that said, I would also personally encourage you to try IMO. And the reason for that would be a couple things. So for worm castings, they largely contain really strong bacterial cultures, really bacterially rich. And that is great for annual garden beds.
Yeah.
And it might be all you need. And so, as opposed to a perennial system like fruit production or shrubs, or just an ornamental garden or perennial flowers, whatever, then those are really going to rely on fungi in the soil long term. The fungi create these, especially the mycorrhizal fungi create these long-lasting relationships with plant roots, and they create this incredible network underneath the soil or in the soil that connects all the plants together. It's like an internet for the soil.
Yeah.
And so worm castings aren't really going to have that kind of fungal component. You can develop that from compost, or kind of within compost. You can get more of a fungal dominant compost tea made, especially if you're feeding it humic acid or humus from the soil even. And so that's great. I'd say for indigenous microorganisms, 1 through 2, 3, 4, and onward, it's the whole process is so gentle and gradual, and it's coercing the microorganisms to kind of like it's a method of coercing them to basically work with you. And just taking leaf mold soil to make JADAM microbial solution, for instance, or to using that to culture is great. But you kind of have to, because of these fungal cultures take a while to establish, and they need like a food source that they can gradually kind of grow on and whatnot. So you collect IMO and you see there's this fungal bloom, and there's bacteria in there as well, and some protozoa and nematodes, which are just other microorganisms from the soil in the forest. And then when you take that to IMO stage 3, you're diversifying it more. So those microorganisms adapt to new conditions, new food sources, and they develop more diversity, which is what you want. And then those you integrate with your local soil cultures that are already there. That's for IMO 4. And the reason that step is necessary is because if you're just applying IMO 3, it will inoculate your soil, but those microbes are going to have a little bit more trouble. They're going to have some trouble establishing long-term relationships. And there's just different dynamics, the way that people, there's like a study that we scorn a little bit in the natural farming community, because there's a study where they collected IMO and then they
just used IMO 2.
Yeah. And and so they never went through the full
on
an unmulched soil. Yeah. There's a lot of problems, but the IMO 2, what happens if you just apply the IMO 2 straight to the field, or even IMO 3, you run the risk of the native protozoa and nematodes just immediately wiping out the foreign cultures, basically. And that's why in that study, and in other cases too, they see that those cultures don't quite last very long. And they certainly don't last season to season. But if you can take your IMO culture all the way through to stage 4, you're giving them the chance to cohabitate and to adapt and evolve with each other. And then that's the culture that you can use to spread on your soil and inoculate it. So anyway, go ahead.
I think the big thing that I see
Yeah.
as different
Yeah.
between like this.
I was
your
going to get to
question.
one more thing.
Okay,
but
yeah, finish that.
the whole point for all of that, because that was very long-winded.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can cut this. We can edit it. I think that the dream of IMO4 is that you actually get to restore your soil to the point where it doesn't need you.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're creating the conditions where nutrient cycling happens on its own. And you're really less and less and less reliant on it, so that you don't have to make it as much. You don't have to apply this stuff year over year over year.
Especially
after a certain point.
Perennial systems.
Especially perennial systems. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like, I think like part of their question, like maybe what they're doing with bringing in, they are bringing in soil from the forest. It's almost like they're doing JADAM.
Right.
A version
Sounds like
of it.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Like what JADAM, the need that JADAM fills, I think that's kind of what they're doing. So I don't know if I'd recommend they try doing JADAM.
And they could. It doesn't use a bubbler, so it's even less equipment.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you got the bubbler, then you might
but
as
I
well.
think if they wanted to take a step up, KNF is that, where it's like, gosh, I mean, it's like hard to prove how well it works in the sense, because it's such a long-term investment. But I think there are some short-term ways that I've seen it. And the main way is our seed starting this year. I used all the water that I mixed into our potting soil was a KNF combo. And I had
combination of different KNF inputs. Yeah.
I didn't have any fungal growth.
Right.
And on my seedlings, normally what you would see, especially because I'm starting seeds like in January, like perennial seeds, I'm starting them in January. They're in soil blocks until mid-May, if not later. They would be completely grown over with green. Yeah. Like it's like a little moss looking thing. And they might even be like slimy. I didn't have any of that this year. And it's my first year doing that.
We did have a light white fuzz on a lot of our stuff, which is great.
Is a sign of...
It's good.
Because we mixed IMO4 into our potting mix.
Yep.
And so that's where that came from. But that was wild to me, because the year before I had slimy soil blocks covered in this green fungi or whatever it was, or moss, or I don't know what it
algae, probably.
It was an algae, that's what it was. It's this green slimy algae, and it just like suffocates the plant over time. So I lost so many seedlings to it, and most people do, and people say do cinnamon and all this stuff. I had none of that this year, and that's like the main way I've seen, and that's a huge way for me, because I'm,
your chief seed starter.
Seed starting is my thing, and so if it solved a seed starting problem for me, I'm like, I'm all in.
And we had we've hardly ever had any fungal issues, fungal pathogens attacking our plants when we've used this stuff.
I have had issues.
We have had it.
Not since KNF.
Right.
And it's good. So that's what I'd say. Why you do KNF. Okay, second question. This is from EMOC 1902. This information is interesting, but I'm just a beginner on most of these subjects. Way above my knowledge level. Do you have any basic introductory videos on this subject? Which I'm sure we sent them videos. But do you have any, like, start here?
Right.
Your basic intro level. Just start with this one and get this right. Feel confident about it before you move on to anything else. Yeah.
So the JADAM microbial solution is, in my opinion, one of the best things that anyone can make for their garden, especially if you're just getting started. It's like, it feels like a no-brainer. You got to just try it and see what happens. JADAM liquid fertilizer is another one.
I'd say start with that one.
You can totally start with that one.
Yeah. Because JADAM...
Because it's so easy.
JMS, you have to get over this hump of being like, what am I looking for?
Sure.
Like there's this,
Mhm.
they're like, look for this foaming disc of bubbles. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
You're sure that works? It looks just like water with foam on top. You know, it doesn't look like much. But the JLF, the fertilizer,
Mhm.
I mean, you literally just throw stuff in a bucket and water and soil, a little handful of soil, and then you're done.
Mhm.
And
And just so long as it stinks really bad, you know you're doing it right.
yeah, it's like the easiest thing.
Yeah.
And most people be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that's just weed tea," but
Yeah.
the main difference is the
Leaf mold soil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So those two are huge.
Mhm.
And then if you want to dip more into some of the simple to like super easy to make Korean natural farming inputs, I'd say you could check out our video on 5 easy recipes. I think
Mhm.
it's called 5 easy DIY recipes that you can do right now.
Yeah, those are all KNF recipes.
Yep, all KNF. They're kind of I think we cover fermented plant juice and fermented
Mhm.
fish amino acids, lactic acid bacteria,
Mhm.
and water soluble calcium acetate and phosphate.
Yep.
Which all sound, if you have never heard of those, sound complicated. They're really not.
They're
They're
really
just,
not.
they're stuff you could very easily source.
Mhm. Mhm. And they really don't take long to make.
Nope.
I mean,
Except for fermented fish amino
you have
acids.
to wait a long time, but the actual making it doesn't take a long time. Yeah.
No.
Okay. As we close out, that was my last question.
Great.
As we close out this,
And could listeners ask questions that we might
we could
answer in future episodes?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Cool. Yeah.
If you have a question, you could put it on a video and I'll include it in a podcast.
Or just
you
comment.
can include it in this video. I'll include it in the next podcast. There you go. Okay. What is something you have learned this week? A challenge or how farming is shaping your mindset or marriage or family? That's a really long-winded, complicated question. Sorry about that. But it's something you've learned this week.
What am I learning?
Simplify it.
Gosh. Well, I guess to take it back to a personal note, I probably am learning a good amount of patience.
Yeah.
Which is, I would say we're learning it acutely through our situation with our renter who has refused to move out and is doing things that we don't like at our house. And so just having to be patient with the process of eventually we will be able to get them to move out. We're taking the necessary steps to do that. But accepting my lack of control is a big one.
Which is kind of what the garden does to you.
And that's totally a gardening thing. That's gonna, I know that's making me a better gardener because you just have, like, you at the end of the day, you have to go to sleep and let your plants grow on their own, and maybe they'll get munched by a rabbit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, but there's a million things that can happen to your plants that you don't have any control over.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That just comes to mind.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh gosh. I think a lot. There's so much. I read a really great book this week called The Farmer's Wife by Helen Rebank. I think that's how you say her name. Mm-hmm. Really good book. I mean, very inspiring. But she just talks a lot about what it's like to be a farmer in England, and they farm sheep and cattle, and just how hard their life is. And it just sort of like gives you a window into someone who is so similar to you. Like we have 3 kids, they have 4 kids, and the stuff she shares about having kids, it's like, that's exactly what it's like, And it's really nice to see someone else experiencing those things in a very different part of the world and be like, okay, we have very different lives, but these experiences are still the same. And so there's like so much empathy to be learned and gained. And even just thinking about our renter and trying to have empathy for them in this situation and not just be frustrated and dehumanize them because I'm frustrated, like having empathy for them. It's just a good reminder of you just don't really know what people are going through.
Totally.
So,
yeah,
I think that's a kind of a roundabout way, but I think just growing in empathy.
Nice.
When I don't want to.
Totally.
Okay. What should people try in their gardens this week? Last question.
In your gardens, well, if you're going in the Northern Hemisphere, likely you are done gardening for the season.
Yeah.
But you probably should be putting some sort of organic matter on your soil.
Yeah.
A mulch in advance, like before the winter hits, because that's going to decompose all winter long and passively feed soil biology. So that could be a compost or leaf mold, just leaves. Wood chips, where you've got your perennials, if you need to layer more of those, carbon rich materials, stuff like that. Yeah, probably if they're gonna do one thing and you haven't done that yet, it's a good time to do it because it's gonna start freezing.
Yeah, because at a certain point, at least here, it will be so frozen solid to the ground, you will not be able to pick it up with a pitchfork. So you should do it now. It's probably different places. All right. That is it. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. Look forward to more podcasts from us in the future. We talked about a lot of stuff. That was really great.
Yeah.
Talked about how, how JADAM and KNF could enter into your life and what framework you would need to have for it to be able to make sense. And we also talked a lot about just different things you could start trying now that aren't like that hard. Learning how to make JLF or JMS, and then also just talking about how KNF is just something that at a certain point you don't have to even do that much or as often. Like it starts to take care of itself, and that's kind of the thing that we're looking forward to in the future. Once again, thank you to our sponsor, The Potato. If you like hanging out with us, hit the subscribe button, and we'll be back next week to talk about more stuff.